working hard. I mean, you see what Deshaun's done. Obviously, unfortunately, with a bunch of injuries that have been season-ending the last couple of years, but he's put in the work. Shador's really done a great job. He's been here a lot all spring, working hard. Dylan, Taylor Green. So, look, we all know that the quarterback position is that we need to figure out at some point in time, and then there's 31 other teams that probably need to do the same. A lot of guys have franchise quarterbacks, but we're excited about how hard the guys are working. We're excited about Todd and the staff working with them to put them in a position to be ready to go this season.
Jimmy, how do you balance the fact that this is kind of a transition period with having high expectations?
Well, I don't know about high expectations. Let's say improved expectations, okay? We're always careful, as you know, to set the expectations, and I think we have made giant strides in our talent level the last 2 years, and that takes these young guys a lot of time, and I think we could have the chance to start double-digit first and second-year players, and I don't care how good you are, it takes a little bit of time to improve, but we're really excited about the roster we've assembled.
Jimmy, the dome question, of course, many questions with the dome. A couple of months ago, one of your officials said there might be some sticker shock when fans hear the first prices for the PSLs. What more light can you shed on the prices fans can expect for PSLs, maybe even a range?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure who said that. We actually had a meeting on it today, and I can unequivocally say this. We have made no decisions on pricing for either PSLs or tickets, okay? And we have a lot of work to do. I can tell you this. One of probably our number one overarching goal is to have as many affordable tickets as we can because we've got great fans and they deserve it.
Jimmy, how much did you contribute to the decision to trade Myles Garrett?
That was Andrew's decision. Obviously, I don't know what Andrew shared with you yesterday or in the past. You know, that's something that conversations we'd had for a while before it was announced, and the Rams were a good partner there and kept it quiet. But a decision like that, ownership is going to be involved, but it's Andrew's decision, Andrew's recommendation, and in this case, ownership blessed it.
So let me just follow up and say, why did you approve the trade?
Well, one, I think we got a really good player back, and I think you saw him today, a really good player. He's 25 years old and still on his rookie contract, so that's the biggest reason. And then we picked up a 1, a 2, and a 3, and, you know, I think we all realized the 3 years we didn't have number one picks due to the Deshaun trade, and one of those years I think we didn't even have a second. And the value of those picks, as we've proved the last 2 years, are tremendous. So Myles is an unbelievable player. I mean, I was thinking the other night, take Jim Brown, Joe Thomas, Myles Garrett, you know, they are first ballot Hall of Famers, world-class people, and so it was not an easy decision, but we've made it, and we're moving on, and excited about Jared, and excited about those 3 draft picks.
Jimmy, welcome back Jadeveon Clowney with open
You know, that's an Andrew decision, but yeah, I think so. If Andrew says he thinks he can help us, we will.
Jimmy, off of the, after Myles was traded, there was concern. What about who might be next? Denzel, but you got in the last couple of days. You've gotten Denzel under contract extension. Grant's under contract. How important was it to have those guys under contract beyond the next couple of years?
Yeah, I would say this. Is, you know, you don't just decide on Tuesday you're going to re-sign some guy and do it on Wednesday. It takes a while. And so we've been working with both those guys. They both played their entire career with us. They're really good players. They're really good people. And they're now the cornerstones of our defense. So it's great to have them to have them tied up for several years. It's great to see them out here. I mean, both of them make a big difference.
In terms of that, do you feel like your expectations then are the same for this defense, which has statistically been the best over the last 3 years?
I'll say, listen, obviously we've had a lot of success. We're really excited about Rudy and what he's doing. We're really not changing much of the scheme. But listen, being top 5 in the NFL in defense is tough to repeat every year. We hope we're there. If we drop a little bit, it could happen. But like we said, we got a good young core. We've got a lot of good veterans here, and we're excited about the staff and what they're doing. So our expectations for the defense is high, and I think you guys have seen the last couple of days they're flying around and look like they're in mid-season form. But we want them to play at a high level, and so do they.
What would you guys say you've learned about Todd since you've gotten to know him, since he's been here?
You know, it's interesting. Todd was here for a year, obviously, and so we got to know him pretty well. And the 3 years that he was at Baltimore, for whatever reason, we stayed in contact and always thought very highly of him. I would say, Andrew and I were talking at the end of practice, he coaches really hard, and he coaches the players hard, but he coaches the coaches hard. If you're the wide receiver coach and some guy runs 8 yards is supposed to be 9, you're going to hear about it right then. You better not wait until after practice, you're going to hear about it right then. And, this is coaching and teaching, and I think he's really good at it. He's really comfortable at it. I think he has a unique ability to get on people hard and yet pick them up at the end of practice or the next phase or whatever. But I think a lot of things, I'll let JW take a stab at it too, have impressed us about Todd, but that's probably the number one thing for me.
Jimmy or JW, was there anything during the interview process for the coaching search where when you spoke to Todd, he said something or did something that kind of you left that interaction thinking like this really might be our guy?
Well, let me say a couple things, and I should have said this on your question. He's also really comfortable in his own skin. And you all know how hard these jobs are in the season, but I think Todd's I don't want to share any trade secrets, but he was my favorite from the get-go. And we had some good coaches, and people drop out, and people don't turn out the way you thought, but he was my pick from the first, and everybody says he's never been a head coach and he's 60, but we had the choice of taking that or somebody's never been a head coach who's 32 or 33. So I like our odds. JW, you might want to say.
I'd just say, obviously we need to improve on offense, and he has a proven track record in that and developing quarterbacks and receivers, et cetera. And I think Jimmy said it, like his personality, his demeanor, his attitude, the way he's going to coach, he can talk to anybody. So he just stood out as the top candidate for us as we got through the process, and we're excited to have him here.
You guys mentioned the young core. Obviously, Todd, first year head coach for you guys. A lot of changes this offseason. You talked about expectations a little bit, but when you think about where you guys are at as a team and some of the new stuff that's changed, what would you sort of define success looks like in 2026?
Winning consistently.
I would say this, and we never do this, but I think the odds are for us to win 5.5 games. I'll take the over.
JW said, obviously, we got to get the quarterback situation figured out. I take it to be beyond this season. So, when would you like to know which quarterback is going to be playing in the new stadium in 2019?
Well, I think
that's a long way. That's a long way out.
I think what Monk said the other day, we'll know by the first game who the starter is going to be, and I think
this year.
Yeah, but I think, listen, somebody might have a great year and they're our quarterback forever, okay? Or somebody, neither of them might. I think it's way, way, way early to be talking about who's going to be our quarterback next year. We got to figure out who's going to start the first game.
If Deshaun Watson plays the way that you guys hope he does if he wins this job, can you see a world in which he's around beyond?
Yeah, I think there's all kind of possibilities out there. So yes, but here again, we got to get through practice. I think our quarterbacks will play in the exhibition games. That's obviously Todd's call.
Yeah, I'd say
and figure out who's going to start.
Andrew and Todd have to play a big role in that.
Jimmy, you mentioned Todd was hired. Talked about the players, talked about accountability, and I just wondered, what have you seen so far in this camp?
I mean, look, you can see it. I mean, obviously, Jimmy mentioned it, but the attention to detail and telling these guys what to do. I mean, I think remember earlier in the spring we had a routes on air session and quarterbacks were throwing the ball short, or it was a windy day, and he started over and said, listen, you guys are NFL quarterbacks. You got to start making these throws. So he's going to hold everybody accountable, whether that's on the field, being on time in the meeting room, dressing accordingly, doing all the right things. So, and the guys are listening to him and they're buying into what he's selling.
Are you surprised there are 10 openings from kind of the Ravens? Are you surprised you're on a team that considered Todd Monken?
I think Todd's had plenty of opportunities. It just didn't work out, and we're glad he's here, and he's going to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns for hopefully many years to come.
You guys talked about the young core. Last year's draft class was very strong, really early. From what you've seen so far through the spring and the summer out here, do you feel like Andrew Berry put together a draft that can not just on paper look good, but on the field look good this year?
I do. I mean, listen, what have we had? 6 practices, 7 practices, but the receivers look really good. It's hard to tell about the offensive lineman until we get on pads, but I think E-Man, now that he's healthy, has looked good. So, yeah, we're very optimistic, and we have high expectations, and they know it.
Jimmy, I hear this narrative all the time. I want to ask you about what you think about it. Narrative being, you guys are rebuilding now. Obviously, you have some good pieces, a lot on defense, but a young team. And the idea is, a lot of fans mention is, when the new stadium opens, that's when you guys really want to be back to being a playoff type team. Do you consider that? Do you guys talk about that? Is that realistic?
Never. We want to be a contending playoff team in 27, okay? And that doesn't mean we can't make it in 26, but the stadium does not come into play at all. Zero.
Jimmy and JW, if you can maybe both address this. It seems like sort of almost the elephant in the room in some ways that you have one quarterback that's in the competition that fans don't necessarily embrace the way that I think you hope that they will, and one who is wildly popular. So do you have any kind of a strategy or any thoughts on how to manage or deal with that situation?
Look, I think everyone's a fan of each guy's, right? Some guys like Deshaun, a lot of people don't. Some guys like Shadur, maybe some people don't. It really doesn't matter, and those guys don't care about it. Both, like I said earlier, those guys have been here working hard. All they want to do is win. They want to help this team out. They know our success on the field is paramount for the team and for our fans and this organization and for this city. I think Jimmy said it, having 8 wins the last 2 years is unacceptable. And, I was talking to Darryl earlier. We had a ton of opportunities last year to win a lot of games, and we just didn't. But we feel comfortable about those guys. Whoever wins the job, we're going to support them. We hope the fans support them. And, the best thing they can do is play well and win football games, and that'll change the narrative.
I think one thing I've noticed about fans is if a player plays well, they tend to change and like him. So we'll see.
Jimmy, I think last year we talked about how it was important to see the rookie quarterbacks play given the 4-man competition. This year with Shadur being so much younger, do you feel there's a need to see him on the field at some point if he doesn't win this starting job?
I think it's a question for Todd. I'd be irresponsible.
Give me one more stadium question, if you don't mind. What still has to be decided? What still has to be done from the planning stage with that project?
Well, I think we're in great shape on the planning stage. All that's done, the design's complete. We've been under construction for 6-7 months now. So there's a giant hole over there. And I think we're starting to put steel in the ground to shore things up. So that's in good shape. There's still a lawsuit against the state that needs to be resolved. We talked to the governor quite frequently, and we do think that'll be resolved. You all know how the justice system works. I don't know if that's 2 months or 2 years.
That's not going to hold up the project.
Not going to hold up the project. I think we've said that consistently. This is a difficult project. I think we've said that there's a bunch, and the main thing we're doing now is managing costs. It's a $2.6 billion project with all the AI data centers going up, and there's a lot of competition for construction companies, and we've got to manage those costs every day.
Jimmy, is ownership at the center of 2 of the biggest trades in sports with Myles Garrett and Giannis? Have you thought about the similarities and as well as, kind of like the long-term rebuilding projects and how you're going to go about that with both?
So, good question. So, my dad's 95 and a half, but he still follows every sports move we make. And he called me up after we traded Giannis. He goes, do you know that in the last month you've traded Myles Garrett and Giannis? I said, yes, sir, I know that. Listen, it's all about what you get, okay? And Giannis, generational player, won a championship, but we felt the need to get younger. He was the best asset we had. We had mortgaged our future going forward, and I think we got 4 really good players, and we got 2 draft picks, number 1 draft picks, a couple of swaps, and a second. So, time will tell. We've got to use those picks wisely, just like we have to do with the Myles trade. But cautious optimism, although you got to be realistic. Rebuilding is no fun. And the NBA I think it's actually harder to rebuild in the NBA than I do the NFL, but we'll see.
Jimmy, obviously you guys have been more conservative in these last 2 off seasons. When you mentioned 27, you really want to be playoff contenders. Do you kind of consider it kind of being back all in when we get to next
Yeah,
offseason?
I think listen, managing the salary cap, and Andrew and Chris Cooper do a great job of that. And I think we'll be in. Listen, we could do it this year. I think you want to time things, and I think next year, depending on how we play this year, we haven't played a game yet. But if we play like we think we can, our young guys produce, and I think, here again, that's an Andrew question, but I think next year might be the time to dip into free agency. Although you have to realize when you go into free agency, you're going to overpay. You just are. And so you got to keep that in mind and balance that with the value of draft picks.
Jimmy,
couple more.
Jimmy, when you talk about 27, so what is 26 about?
Continue to get better. Continue to get better. And you're wise to play. What'd you say? We played ugly? To not play ugly. And I mean that. I'm making a joke, but I mean that. I mean, we want to be fun to watch. You know what I mean? We want to play hard, not make mistakes, look like we got our act together. It's something we didn't have the last 2 years, and expectations are we will this year.
Terry, I just want to say we're not punting on this season by any means. 27, whatever, that's great. But we have high expectations for this team. You know, like I said, we had a lot of opportunity last year to win more games and we didn't. But this year is by no means a punt whatsoever. We're excited about how we're going to play, and we'll see how the schedule shakes out. But the guys are ready to win this year. There's no mandate like, hey, we got to just focus on 27 and beyond. It's every year we want to win.
Jimmy, this is year 15 for you as the owner of Browns, I think. How would you summarize your performance in your tenure as the owner of the team?
I'd say on the field, not very good. Okay, and I think I said this spring, but listen, we're blessed to get to do a lot of things. Hopefully, most of them go well. But our on-field performance, and this is more D and I, not Whitney and JW, is something that keeps us awake at night, and it's unacceptable. And I hate it the most for our fans because they deserve better than that. So we're working hard every day to not have that same kind of performance we've had in the past. But we don't have our head in the sand. We know we've not performed.
Since you guys put this four-part project together, a bunch of teams around the NFL have unveiled their own plans to build their enclosed stadiums with clear roofs and things like that. Can you just touch on the competition for those big events that you're hoping that this new building is going to yield over to Cleveland? You have competition in big cities like Washington, D.C. and Kansas City and whatnot. How do you see that plan?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at where consumers are spending their money, it's on sports and entertainment. And, those concerts are entertainment. And unfortunately in Cleveland, with the weather we have and the way the football season works, you're probably only going to have the opportunity to have 2 or 3 of those. We're hoping we'll have 10 to 12 big events and then a bunch of medium-sized and smaller events. Is there competition? Yes. The competition tends to be geographic. And so I don't think anybody's in our immediate area. Maybe, I guess Buffalo's outside, so it doesn't. But I think we're not the only ones doing it. If you're going to spend $2.5 to $3 billion, you've got to do more than play, 10 football games.
Anything else?
We good?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank
Great
you.
to see y'all.
Everybody.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Jimmy, my mom's about to turn 95.
Really? Is she still in good shape?
She's mentally as sharp as